Hello, everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome to my new spaces. Um, so it's evening over here in Australia, and yeah, very excited to get started. I'm just going to try and record this at the same time, and hopefully it's working. Hopefully you can all hear me clearly as well. Excellent. Well, look, just to get started, in terms of the in terms of the game week, wow, what a strange one it's been. It's been one of those game weeks where I didn't sort of expect it to. Um, I didn't expect it to sort of turn out this way. It was, yeah. Look, it's been crazy, if I'm completely honest. Um, it's I think when I sort of took out Salah from my team, I didn't really sort of factor in how much of an impact that might have, like in terms of like my planning and the strategy that I went into the season in the first place. Because when I started the season, I sort of, went forward with, yeah, I'm going to have Salah in the team and try and sort of work my team around Salah as well. So unfortunately, that didn't quite sort of work out. And so rather than waiting it out another, I don't know, a couple of game weeks, I decided to make a call on just kind of pulling the trigger on that and removing Salah from the team. So yeah, so I did that last at the start of this game week, and yeah, I thought, yeah, that was a good move. And I brought in Foden and I brought in Mbumo, so you can see where this is going to go a little bit. Um, yeah, and again, I sort of had high hopes. I think just given the fixtures that they have, it just made sense to sort of take Salah out and just kind of pull the trigger on that a little bit earlier. Um, the whole sort of going with Salah, spreading the funds, like I mentioned, it was a particular strategy that I was hoping that would have worked out, especially for the Bournemouth fixture. But I just couldn't justify having a 12.5 mid in my team that is only returning like 5 points so far, which look, it isn't like bad in the grand scheme of things when you sort of look at points return in general. But I think given that he's a 12.5 player, I would ideally like to be thinking about captaining Salah as well. So, yeah, given I'm probably not going to be captaining Salah, it just seemed like a good shout to just take him out and just call it there. Last season, I actually made quite a few moves in a way where I probably wasn't cutthroat about it as much as I probably should have been. So where I should have pulled the trigger a lot sooner, I probably waited 3 or 4 game weeks and just was trying to be patient about it and sort of continued sort of keeping some of the players that I had in the team. So yeah, a little bit unfortunate, but this time round I thought it would make sense for me to just try and pull the trigger a little bit earlier and just make those decisions sooner rather than later. um, I'm generally happy with that decision, and I'm gonna probably for those that are going to be checking this out on YouTube later on. I'm just looking at my team at the moment, and at the end of the day, it didn't work out as well as I hoped. Look, removing Salah, I also remove Chukwuemeka from my team as well. So, and I believe he didn't play, so I wouldn't have got any sort of appearance points or anything like that for him. But removing Salah meant that I brought in Foden and Mbumo, and between those two, they scored 6 points. So yeah, look, I made an extra point or something. Yeah, it's not great, not ideal, but yeah, what do you do, right? So I scored a total of 43 points this game week, which isn't great at all. And as I was sort of thinking about this, this spaces and or this stream today, I was actually sorting through a whole bunch of photos from the conference I was at last week, And yeah, so like, fun fact, I love doing photography and I love taking lots of photos. And so for the conference itself and the workshop that, my team and I were running, I wasn't sort of, a business owner or a co-founder of, this company that was running this workshop. I was a photographer for the day, and I was like DJing, basically just making sure there was nice ambience and music going on in the background. So I was actually sorting through all that stuff, and back of my mind, I was thinking about, what I'd hoped from this game week. And if I rattle off my team really quickly, I've got Pickford in goal. Um, that was oh my god, that was a fucking pain in the ass. Actually, come to think of it, I was thinking about like the teams, the matches that happened where there was a goal that was scored after like 70 minutes, 80 minutes, or something like that. Like, seriously, Pickford, you had one fucking job to just save that goal. I'm pretty sure there weren't many shots sort of aimed at him either. It's not like he had a really tough match or anything like that. I don't know, maybe he did. But yeah, I was so gutted about that. And then, like I'm pretty sure I jinxed Walker in the last spaces that I did, because this time round, again, like Walker was playing actually a lot further up the line than, like, I mean, he usually does anyway, but this time round it just seemed like he was just getting in the box a lot more and playing up. And I think at one point when I was checking, I try not to check live FPL at the same time, but when I checked live FPL, I noticed that Walker was on 8 points or something like that, and I was like, "Oh, bloody amazing! Walker's on 8 points. This is going to be great." Because obviously I brought Walker in by chance, because I had to take Stones out. So, yeah, I was really happy seeing that. And then as we were, I don't know, the 80th minute has passed, and I was like, okay, well, what could go wrong? And then City concede, like City style, right? So I was just like, you just couldn't make this shit up, right? Like, so just having Pickford concede such a late goal, and then having Walker concede a late goal as well. It was just, I think I knew, like, at that point, I was like, there's just no sort of, positive kind of like, there's not going to be much positivity this game week in terms of like the final score of the game week and then what it's going to end up being. I look, Chilwell played all right. I mean, like, he couldn't decide to score a goal, so that was another problem there. But in terms of clean sheet points and things like that, I couldn't really complain from that point of view. Like, at least he sort of kept a clean sheet. But I feel like I went for the wrong, wrong defender. I mean, actually, no, I shouldn't really say that. And I think it's so easy to have that sort of hindsight, bias as well, and sort of go, oh yeah, I wish I'd gone for Gusto, or is it Gusto? I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right. But it's so easy to say, oh, maybe I should have gone there because, like, James was out and all of that. But I just didn't make any decisions about my defence, as I was making any transfers, and I saved 2 transfers for the last game week. But my defence wasn't, it should have been a priority, but it wasn't a priority. I mean, I played Gabriel as well, just one last throw as well. Like, I'll play Gabriel. So in my defence, I had, Walker, Stupinian, Chilwell, Gabriel, and I had Baldock as well. But look, with Chilwell, I just couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I'm pretty sure everyone that has Chilwell in their team was probably screaming their fucking heads off at the screen as well, because it was so frustrating. Like, you are that close to the goal. Why are you trying to pass the ball? It just made no sense. Anyway, so, but at the same time, I was like, pat on the back, mate. You kept a clean sheet, which is better than what everyone else did in my team. So, fair enough, fair enough. And as I mentioned, I tried to play Gabriel. When I say I tried to play Gabriel, I mean, yeah, I was really hoping that Gabriel would have played, I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking there either. The signs were there, right? There's been obviously these rumors or whatever it is about, like, Gabriel maybe going to the Saudi league. Not sure how much truth is in that, but yeah, it's just so frustrating actually when you think about it. You yeah, I don't know. I was just hoping. I was just really hoping. I think, like, there was a bunch of us that were probably hoping as well. So if anyone's got Gabriel, um, really sorry, we can cry together, but he's probably going to leave our teams, next game week, or if not, this game week, as in game week 4 coming up. um there was a point in that City match where I was like, wow, it's still 0-0. I really wouldn't mind it staying 0-0 because I had Baldock coming off my bench if Foden wasn't going to start. So all these rumours about Foden sort of circulating started to kind of, get on my nerves a little bit. I was like, great, Foden's not going to start. Here I am making a transfer of bringing Foden in ahead of the slightly good fixture run that he's got, and then there's rumours about him not travelling with the team, yada yada yada. And yeah, look, it was nice that like there was messages on Twitter saying he might travel separately, yada 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 again. But I don't know what that sort of helps with either. So like, great, that, but you can't actually act on that information other than sort of manage your expectations. Maybe that's what it's for. So I'm trying to look at the positivity in all these different sort of tweets that are flying around out there. I looked at it as, all right, well, this is helping me manage my anxiety levels, maybe my expectations. Maybe I can sort of, just kind of temper my sort of enthusiasm and all of that. So look, if I hadn't have looked at Twitter, then I probably would have gone and watched the match and then been surprised and still sort of feel the same way. So like, whatever. Um, but then but then Foden came on. So I was like, great, okay. But I look, by this point they'd already sort of I think they'd already conceded the goal or something. I'm not sure. I think it was like immediately after that Foden come on, and he was only on for like 12 minutes or something like that, which was fantastic because like he actually played really really well. Like just seeing him in action and in that sort of short space of time, it was really bizarre because there was like all this space that so many of the City players could have like gone into and sort of, I don't know, just capitalized on the opportunities that space would have been able to, they would have been able to create, right? Like there's some of that momentum and stuff. But yeah, it was really strange kind of watching that City match. It was almost like they didn't know what they were doing. And it was, I'm not sure if it was because Pep wasn't there or, what it was. But yeah, it was really strange kind of seeing that they, yeah, it was odd. But anyway, look, Foden came on. He played really, really well in the short space of time that he had to play. And I actually didn't realize like what was going on with him. Like, was it a Pep issue? Was it um, was it a an illness or something like that? And then I think as I was reading a little bit more, it looked like he had like gastro or something like that. And if anyone's had gastro, I'm not going to talk about it, in this, but if anyone's had gastro, you're pretty fucked. So yeah, I can only imagine how he must have been feeling getting on, and probably didn't want to get on. I can't imagine him wanting to get on, but it was 1-1 at that point, so yeah, it made sense. But look, I'm not gonna lie. I needed those 4 points. Like, it. Yeah, I'm really happy that he did come on because yeah, this wasn't looking good at all. At the by the time sort of I lost the Walker sort of clean sheet as well. So yeah, really really gutting. From that point of view. I also have like Martinelli in my team. Wasn't really impressed. He played okay. I wouldn't say that he played brilliantly. And I guess at this point I'm sort of looking at my midfield and thinking, who could I get rid of? And maybe it's a bit of recency bias as well, but I think Rashford sort of getting some points has probably nudged me to start thinking about who I would remove from my midfield. And at the moment, Martinelli feels like he's on the chopping block there. But again, Saka sort of, yeah, look, I don't know. You could argue that Saka probably played worse than Martinelli, or Martinelli played slightly better than Saka. I'm not sure, but the pens, make a massive difference, don't they? So I think from that point of view, I'm probably going to keep Saka in the team, but also, from an EO perspective as well, just something that I feel like I need to start sort of factoring in, especially after sort of not having Mbuma in the team and sort of, dealing with the consequences of that from game week 1. So yeah, look, I'll probably sort of get rid of maybe Rashford. It's between Rashford and Martinelli at the moment. Um, I did rage quit. I did sort of rage quit. I have rage quit in the past in my previous like workplaces, so I don't know why that came to mind. But I meant rage transferred out. The rage quitting my job and starting a business thing is probably an entirely different spaces that I'm happy to do. And that too, doing that during the pandemic as well. So that was a lot of fun. But no, I didn't rage quit. But I did rage transfer out Pedro from my team, and that was a really easy transfer out for me. I was like, nah, this is, he's got to go. I think when I saw, I didn't see De Zerbi's presser when he did the presser. I saw it sort of afterwards, and I remember sort of seeing the presser and thinking, "Oh wow, this is not good vibes at all towards Pedro." And I think like he said something along the lines of Ferguson's going to start up front or something like that, and it just seemed a little bit pushy, like as in. It's just a really odd. It just came across really odd. Um, so I was also already feeling like Pedro's probably not going to be playing, and then on top of that, him, that presser did not help either. So yeah, so Pedro was the first one to go from my team. So I actually made an early transfer. I think it's the first time since I don't know my first season, which was the 2021 season, where no, sorry, no, 21-22 season. I'm losing track of time. Where I did an early transfer, so early, like midway through the game week. I'm doing a transfer. That's how disgusted I was that Pedro didn't start. But look, at the end of the day, Gabriel not. So I actually benched Pedro, but Gabriel not starting meant that Pedro came on, and then there was the whole sort of Foden fiasco, Foden gate, and so Baldock was bound to come on if Foden wasn't going to come on. So yeah, I'm glad Foden came on. So yeah, happy days. Got 4 points there. But given that I'm talking about a measly 43 points that I scored this game week, like I say, every point matters at this point. Um, and then look on my bench. You know what the really messed up thing is? Turner scored more points than Pickford. I'm just looking at my team again and realizing that Turner scored 3 points and Pickford scored two. Like seriously, what the hell? Um, yeah, I'm not feeling good about Pickford, but like many of you, I'm sure, who's got Pickford as well, and is probably thinking about switching out your goalkeeper. You're probably not going to do that until your wild card, unless you have a transfer to burn. So yeah, that's been pretty much my game week so far. I think like when I was thinking about this yesterday, I think I scheduled the spaces yesterday, and I've typically sort of scheduled them pretty impromptu, mostly because it all comes down to how much time I have and where I am, what I'm doing, that kind of thing. So the spaces sort of allows me to have that flexibility as well. But this time round, when I scheduled it, I started thinking about what the hell I would actually talk about. But I had this voice and a reminder in my head saying that actually just the realities of what the hell's going on. And yeah, so yeah, that's pretty much it for my game week. My last game week, unfortunately, it's not been great. I'm hovering around the 2.5, 2.6 sort of mil. That's definitely the lowest rank that I've had ever. I'm pretty sure even in my first season, I didn't have such a lower rank. And you know what that does? That does do like funny things to your mind as well. So, you know, on the first instance, I remember sort of thinking about this and going, yeah, this is really tough because obviously I've just come off the back of a really good season last season, and so to then go into this season with a such a low rank, and then just things just not falling in your favor, or and this is where you start realizing actually luck has got such a massive role to do with how your game week goes, and how your season sort of ends up. And last year I was actually on the positive side of variance, pretty much most of the season, and had a really good start to the season, and realized that sort of set me up for the rest of the season as well. Although I had this very intimate relationship with top 10k rank for a very long time, and just kept sort of jumping out of it as well. So yeah, it was a bit slow, trying to maintain the rank. But yeah, this time round, it's been really tough. I think I started around game week one, 800k or so, and then I dropped to like 1.5 or something like that, and then now it's sort of gone even lower to 2.5, 2.6. But you know what? There's one thing I realized, like as I was, thinking about this a little bit today, editing photos and sort of kept going back to my team and looking at what could I have done differently. And it's really important to kind of go back and have a look and all of that. Not necessarily to sort of feel bad about it or sort of think about hindsight or just to learn from the experience more than anything else. And honestly speaking, I don't think I could have done anything different to my team. I picked a strategy of going with Salah, from the get go, and so that was the decision that I made right from the beginning, right? So, there was very little I was going to be able to do about that. So um, I think I knew after the first 2 game weeks, so after the Bournemouth fixture, that yeah, there was no way that the Salah sort of punt or sort of strategy didn't really work out very well. But then rather than sort of trying to stick with it too long, and I think this is where like you've got to make some like decision, and this comes with like with it's not just sort of with the FPL, but whether it's your work or life decisions or strategies that you're approaching for anything, right? There is this like sunk cost fallacy. I don't know if anyone's come across that, but with sunk cost fallacy, you tend to kind of like the longer you leave it, the longer you want to kind of hold on to players as well, because you've sunk a certain amount of time or cost or whatever into whatever decision that you've made. And there's no real way of actually dealing with something like that other than sort of pulling out and sort of making a decision very early on and very quickly that you don't want to do that, and you don't want to kind of continue sort of down a particular pathway. Once you sort of start sort of sticking with a couple of players, they get good fixtures coming up, it's so easy to to just stick with them as well. So and that's no sort of discredit or kind of no like um I'm not sort of pointing fingers at anyone that does that. There's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. It's just comes down to what type of FPL manager you want to be as well. So look, in my case, I realized that that's not what I wanted to do. I didn't want to leave it too long to make some of those decisions, so I made a gut call to just kind of take Salah out and bring two transfers in that I thought would be better to have in my team. Um, and even now, I look at my team. So I'm just going to see if I can find my. So I've been like tinkering away on Plan FPL, just with my team and what I'm thinking about it at the moment. And I'm thinking to just make, like, initially I thought I'll just make one transfer, just because I've just got one free transfer anyway. But given Pedro was an issue, so I think my first move was pretty much Pedro to Jackson. So I would have ideally wanted to go to Alvarez, but because I brought Foden in, the last game week, it didn't make sense to try and sort of, uproot my whole team to try and sort of fit Alvarez in or anything like that. And Alvarez looked really good. It's a shame that he didn't get, oh, actually not shame for those of us that don't have Alvarez, but he could have easily got loads more points as well. So yeah, he was getting in all the right sort of, places, positions, and all of that. So yeah, it's a surprise that he didn't get more returns from that match anyway. But yeah, so I brought in Jackson. I really wanted to bring in. I wanted to bring in Sterling or Jackson. I don't think it was going to be a Sterling and Jackson for me, and I was willing to take a hit as well. So this I realized, like, as I was sort of working out my team and trying to sort of decide what pathway to go. Look, the idea of a wild card actually crossed my mind as well. So I started to sort of tinker with a wild card and have a look at the game weeks coming up and work out what looks good from a wild card point of view. But given we're going straight into an international break, it just does not make sense to wild card at the moment for me. If I look at my team, so as I mentioned, I've got Pickford, I've got the Pickford Turner sort of combo, I've got Walker, Stupinian, Chilwell, I've got Gabriel, Baldock, and yes, Gabriel is an issue in my team, but given the game week that we're going into, so game week 4, I don't mind sort of benching Gabriel, for that game week, and then playing 5 in the middle and then 2 up front. At least this way I know that, well, provided no one else gets benched, because the bench is looking pretty weak for me. If I've made the move to Jackson anyway, If I was to take a hit, it would be to try and attack a little bit more rather than trying to sort of sort out the defense. And I probably should sort out defense because Pickford's letting me down all the time at the moment, and we really can't expect too much. But having said that, Pickford is playing Sheffield next. So yeah, look, we just don't know. Maybe, I'll feel slightly satisfied that he'll get one clean sheet, and then we can all walk away from Pickford feeling satisfied that he got us that one clean sheet. So maybe that's what I'm sort of holding out for. Maybe that's my sort of sunk cost fallacy sort of, side of it. So I'm willing to sort of take that risk. I just can't. I'm just not going to be able to justify switching out my goalkeepers, and I rather attack a little bit. And I can't ignore the fixtures that Spurs have, and obviously Maddison was injured, so everyone that had Maddison either made a call for transferring him out, and those that did transfer Maddison out probably went down the pathway of bringing in Sterling or went to Foden. And those that had Maddison and wanted to take the risk, they played Maddison. And so, well done to all of you that played Maddison, because, he looked amazing. He just looked really, really good. He was just on everything, creating lots of chances. Yeah, I don't know like how many exactly he made. These spaces are not necessarily, I'll rattle off a couple of stats here and there, but not necessarily the primary thing that I'm going to be doing in these spaces or streams. But he was so central. It was almost like, I think I heard someone, I was chatting to a friend, and they were saying, I think they'd listened to a YouTube video or clipping, or a podcast or something, where they'd said something along the lines of Maddison and Richarlison playing almost the nine role, interchangeably a little bit, and that's what it looked like as well. So yeah, he looked really, really good. So um, the Madison FOMO was strong anyway, like going into the previous game weeks, and especially when he wasn't injured, and he did, he was going to start as well. So I think if I do take a hit, it'll probably be for Madison, maybe Sterling. I'm not sort of 100% convinced on Madison or Sterling. Sterling did look good as well, but then I keep telling myself that they were playing, at the end of the day, they were actually playing Luton. So I'm not sure about that. And so yeah, I'd probably sacrifice Martinelli at the moment. I was thinking about like the Bruno and Rashford combination, and those of you that had Bruno and Rashford, again, massive like thumbs up, well done, because that was really, like, I think that a lot of people managed to get rid of one of them, and I think Bruno ended up being on the chopping block. And I have to admit, Bruno actually played a lot better, I felt, than Rashford did. Although Rashford looked really good out on the left, as he should be. But if I had to pick now, if I was wildcarding now, I'd probably include Bruno and not Rashford in my team. Bruno just looked really good, and I think the pens obviously make a massive difference as well. Um, so I think like from the mid, I've still got like Mbumo in my team. I'm probably going to keep him, just because, yeah, like again, the fixtures look really good. They've got Bournemouth, and then I might bench him against Newcastle, I think it is. But I then got Foden already in the team, and so given Foden, it's not necessarily a Pep roulette issue. At least that's what we think. It's not. It's not a Pep roulette issue. It's more of an issue that Foden had with his stomach and having gastro. So sad times for him. But hopefully he would have recovered by the weekend, and is able to play, like a 90, or at least sort of, more than 60. And because he just looked really, really good. So I'm quite glad. Like it's kind of shit that I brought Foden in hope that he'd play really well against Sheffield. But yeah, look, I'm really glad that I still have him in the team. So I'm not going to be getting rid of him, not just yet, unless obviously Pep Roulette is an issue and he starts to get benched, which would be a real shame, because I feel like that team just lit up when he was on the field, and yeah, everyone just played that little bit better. So yeah, so that's what I'm thinking at the moment, which then means that I'm going to have Gabriel on my bench again, and I'm not sure how I feel about that, because I'm choosing to attack the game week rather than sort of think about having some bench cover. I mean, I've got Baldock on the bench anyway. I haven't really adjusted my bench around, so I've got I'll probably have Baldock on my first bench and hope that he you know well, see that's the other thing. Like I'm thinking about playing Estupinian, but at the end of the day, Estupinian's probably more likely to get um, attacking returns than sort of keeping a clean sheet against Newcastle, right? So, but yeah, I think if anything, I wouldn't mind playing Baldock. If there was anyone else that I'd bench, then I'd probably play Baldock against Everton. It looks like Baldock's back and fit, so that would make sense. But no, I think he's probably going to be on my first bench just in case anyone doesn't show up. I'm really hoping that's not the case at all. I think the only weakest link that I can think about now is, potentially Walker, who didn't have a great game, and Foden as well. So, and this is the risk with the unfortunately with the City players, right? Like they've got really good fixtures, and how do you ignore them? And we just don't know like how that's going to shape up. Although I feel like Rodri's going under the radar at the moment. Has it sort of crossed anyone's mind to bring Rodri in, because he I think he's got the highest points now from the City team. Like he scored the highest points in FPL so far, more than Haaland as well, which is insane. But yeah, look, he's playing really well. But I just can't. Yeah, I don't know. Like he'll probably get like a couple of returns here and there, but in terms of creating chances and stuff like that, I don't know. Maybe I'm going to be wrong about that this season. Maybe yeah, he's going to be great. Who knows? But yeah, I think if anyone's thinking about a forward, City forward, then Alvarez, yeah, definitely. I'm now starting to contemplate like, do I captain someone else? I don't know if it's crossed anyone else's mind as well. Give me a thumbs up or something like that if anyone's even slightly contemplating that they don't want to captain Haaland week after week anymore. But yeah, I mean, obviously he's on the pens, but will he be on the pens? Not sure. Alvarez is very good at taking pens as well. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not convinced. But maybe that's the 2.5 mil in me sort of feeling a little bit brave about sort of um, potentially captaining someone else other than Haaland. So yeah, let's see. I'm going to have a think about that. Um, so yeah, look, if I go Jackson and Madison, that will be pretty much me, yeah, for game week 4, provided that there's not any other sort of issues going on. I really didn't want to take a hit so soon either, but I think it came down to taking a hit or contemplating the wild card and just kind of doing the wild card now. But I'd rather wait a little bit longer. I think when I was looking at the fixtures, it feels like after game week I think it's like towards game week 8 or something like that, makes more sense around then. There's another international break coming up as well, so yeah, maybe that's a better shout than now. um Watkins was another forward that I did think about. Like when I was rage transferring out Pedro, I was thinking maybe Watkins would be someone good to yeah, good forward to bring in, just because like they've got decent fixtures. They're not as, I think most of the fixture tickers are showing Villa being quite an easy fixture. In fact, there's quite a few teams where they're just coming up slightly harder or easier, and not necessarily correct. So even like like given that Van Dijk had got a red and he's probably going to miss, like if it doesn't get overturned, it's he's probably going to miss the next match. And so from that point of view, yeah, our defense is really weak. So going by the fixtures isn't necessarily very accurate at the moment. So I'm kind of reading between the lines of them, and sort of looking at some of the stats a little bit more. And I think like the first couple of seasons that I was playing, I was just eyeballing the green, and sort of wondering, yep, that's enough for me to kind of make a decision about who to bring in and how to play that fixture. But I think there's been enough curveballs over the last couple of game weeks, but also last season as well, for us to kind of take a bit of a step back and have a look at those fixtures again, and rethink how easy or tough they're going to be. So yeah, I reckon if you've got Watkins, you keep Watkins, right? They're playing Liverpool, and our defense is looking absolutely trash at the moment. So yeah, it's gonna be hard, but I'm not going to ignore the fact that we had a massive win against Newcastle. So I'm actually wearing my third Liverpool kit. I don't like to buy like a kit every season or anything like that, but I do like picking up one that's looking different, and I really like the purple kit that this is. And yeah, it came today, and obviously I was buzzing this morning after watching. I was actually watching some of the match last night, and then well, it was early hours of this morning basically, and I think I just drifted off and fell asleep, so I missed the second half. I missed the best half, right? Like typical. So yeah, so I was watching the match this morning, and yeah, the delivery came, so I was very happy receiving my third Liverpool kit. So yeah, I'm wearing that at the moment. But yeah, huge win. Like I wasn't expecting that. I think when I drifted off, I obviously was sort of anticipating a loss there and probably a bit more of a hammering. But it was there for Newcastle's taking, and yeah, we smashed it. So sorry, Newcastle supporters. I can see my friend Ant in the in the stream as well. Really sorry, not sorry. Really glad, but yeah, like you guys bottled it. Seriously, like that was an opportunity there. Um, so that's pretty much it. Like what I'm thinking at the moment for from a game week point of view, like my transfers in general. That's what I'm currently sort of working towards. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like I'm hoping I won't need to take like a -8. Um, I hope that's not the case. But yeah, look, I haven't sort of made the second transfer yet, but I'm yeah very close to making it. And I'll probably do it before there's any price rises as well, because that's something that I haven't really thought too hard about this season and last season as well. I sort of missed a whole bunch of price drops and price rises. But the one thing I want to do this time is try and catch those where I can, especially if I'm like more than 80% sort of definite about the player that I want to bring in at the very least anyway. Um, that's pretty much it. I haven't sort of like I think like last spaces I did, there were quite a few questions. I noticed that there isn't many questions, so I might just leave it unless there's questions that anyone has. Pop them. Oh, okay, that there are questions. I don't know how I'm gonna like answer these questions, to be fair, because like I'm having a really shit game week. So, but I'll try. I'll try. Um, so Ray, you're asking who would you prefer to bring in out of Sterling and Madison? It's so close between them, but I'm leaning towards Madison just because it feels like Madison is across absolutely everything at the moment. And I think with Sterling, like if yeah, from what I could see, um, he's sort of relying on the rest of the team around him a little bit, and then he's probably going to be providing a lot more as well. Let's face it, Richarlison's pretty shit, right? Like I shouldn't say that. That's awful. I mean, this is totally off the cuff, right? So I'm not really overthinking, how I'm sort of reacting to or sort of, speaking about some of these players. But yeah, like he's just not clinical and just so wastes so many opportunities, right? So I think from that point of view, I feel like Madison's probably going to be double downing and sort of capitalizing on some of those opportunities a bit more. And so from that point of view, I feel like I probably would lean towards going with Madison over Sterling. And I'm going to be probably terribly wrong about that, but I'm leaning towards that just based on what I saw. And also, Chelsea were playing Luton, and so Sterling's not going to be playing against Luton each time, although there are a couple of easy fixtures coming up for Chelsea anyway. But I don't know. I feel like Spurs look very different. I don't want to sort of make this about Spurs too much either, but Spurs look very different under Ange, and he's a fantastic manager. He's an Aussie manager. Yeah, no bias is there whatsoever, but he's pretty straight shooting and really really good, and you can see he's had an immediate impact on the team as well. So I think from that point of view, I'd rather sort of jump on the wave of momentum, and Spurs definitely have that right now. If there aren't any more, okay, Anthony, Diaby or Archer for the next game week? Oh, that's a really good question, because Archer's just signed for Sheffield, right? So um, I reckon Archer. I reckon Archer, if you're feeling punty, like if you've already got, obviously you've already got Archer, but yeah, I reckon Archer if you're feeling a little bit punty, just because he's just signed for a new team, but I rather play, like if I was playing safe, I'd probably play Diaby. Like he just looks really really good, and we're really leaky at the moment. So Villa against Liverpool, expect goals. I think, yeah, I think it's going to be like Villa's playing really really well as well. So I think it's early on in the season, live a little, maybe go Archer. I don't know. It's a tough one, but I think if I was picking for my team, and given where I am, and sort of, trying to kind of make up some of those points and stuff, I'd probably lean towards Diaby. Okay, I promised myself not to have these sort of go on too long as well. I think last time it was about 40 minutes, and it's still 40 minutes as well. Maybe I need to just succumb to these are probably going to be about 40 minutes long. There's just so much to talk about. Maybe I'd sort of split them up in two or something if there's like team selection stuff to do as well. Not sure. But thank you so much for tuning in. I really do appreciate it. Like this is only my third one, and it's really nice to have the turnout that I do have, so I appreciate it. And I appreciate the timing as well, because like it's really good timing for me over here in Australia. It's coming to quarter to 10 p.m. But it is sort of during the day for a lot of you, or in the afternoon, and wherever you are, or early hours of the morning or something, as well. So I really do appreciate it, and I'm enjoying like just having a ramble. I'm not sure if I mentioned it previously, but I am going to start inviting people on to have a chat as well, and those of you that have caught the video version, what I've been trying to do is just capture the screen, like so capture my screen from my phone, and so you can actually see everyone's faces and reactions and all of that. So yeah, give me a heart or a thumbs up or something, and that'll come through on the stream as well. So I set up a YouTube channel just to kind of pop the videos up on there as well. So you can check out the team that I put up on my screen as well, and just my reaction. And and today I'm very very coordinated with my my third Liverpool kit on as well. So you can go and check that out. If you're a Liverpool fan, I appreciate that you might not want to if you're not a Liverpool fan. But yeah, I appreciate you tuning in. So thanks again, and hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next one.